Oh, hi folks, hope you're well. Thank you for the very kind comments on the previous videos. Really appreciate your support. It's nice to see comments at last. Maybe YouTube are just letting a few filter through. Just look for the subscriptions have been stuck at 60, I think, now for ages and ages and ages. Well, there's nothing guaranteed in this life, is there? I mean, people often unsubscribe, but nobody's subscribing or unsubscribing. It seems to be static at 60 subscribers. That's how much they think I'm worth. That's YouTube, not other people, I suppose. But anyway, the topic, brief video, since I've got a lot to do, but I have to do these videos. I find them cathartic. And I was last night at a sort of, well, to be honest with you, I was in the bath. I like slobbing around in my own sludge. I don't like having showers very much because I generally feel quite faint in showers and I don't want to fall over. So being an old fart, I have to get in a bath now with my battered ass, which is the one little luxury I tend to give myself, battered ass bubble bath. It's quite fantastic stuff if you haven't tried it. You only need a little drop in a bath, trust me. You get foaming like mad and it's wonderful. It's heaven. And anyway, that aside, what was I doing in the bath? Well, I was, strangely enough, I was watching my Mac. I sit in the bath and soak for a while, and I watch a video because I can't stand doing nothing. You know, I'm soaking, man. That's all I'm going to be doing. And I watched this chap called Tommy Robinson. And I've got a lot of respect for that guy. He's quite brave because this is the guy who lives in Luton. But Tommy Robinson on this occasion was talking to the Oxford Union Address. And for those of you who don't know, Oxford Union is a little club in Oxford University where you get all the students that subscribe to being in the club, the clubbies, to go and sit in some building similar to a church where you have guest speakers talking their bit. And they've had some quite fantastic guest speakers. And at the end there's a Q&A session. Well, Tommy Robinson came on, and I thought, my God, that's quite good, actually, to have Tommy Robinson as a speaker for the Oxford Union, because all the students are sat there, they're all very toffs. But looking around the crowd and the students that are within Oxford Union, it doesn't take long to realise that many of them are foreigners. Many of them are foreigners. They're from New Zealand and Australia. Lots of American students at Oxford, believe it or not. Yeah, I know. Clinton, he was actually at Oxford for a short while, wasn't he? Because he was a Rhodes Scholar. Well, it doesn't bode well. But Tommy stood there and he gave a talk for an hour. Well, 15 minutes with 10 minutes for questions, but the YouTube video never showed the questions that were being posed by the snotties that were sat down, and by God are they precocious snots, most of them. You know, these are young pre-graduates who just think that they suffer from delusions of grandeur, sadly. If it's not in the books they've read, it doesn't exist or it doesn't work, and the books say so. You know, they don't have no life experience yet, because they have this cloistered environment of going to uni in Oxford, and they whiz around on their bicycles. And I was at Cambridge, and I used to live in a place called Ely, and I used to go shopping around Cambridge as well. And there was bicycles all the time, there's punts. It was a lovely atmosphere, but Oxford, it's lost it now. It's lost it because, you know, it was such a wonderful place, Oxford, when I was young. But now look at it, it's full of multinationals, of bloody Chinese kids at Oxford, and Japanese and Americans and kids. Where are the English kids? Where are the white Caucasian English kids? No, they're all bloody Pakistanis, there's a few Muslims thrown in, a lot of Chinese. And, you know, it seems he who pays gets in. Isn't it always the case? Well, I take my hat off to Tommy Robinson because he basically did a video about the Islamic invasion and what's happening to our town in our country called Luton. Lutonabad. It's got something in the region of 300, and it's no exaggeration, 300 mosques. Wow, 300. Where'd you put them all, these mosques? Are they breeding? And at the end of the whole video, which I watched with fascination, watching the bathwater, or feeling the bathwater going cold, I was real wrinkly when I got out. And I felt totally at a loss, because he did such a good job, did Tommy. And he's very misunderstood. But the problem is, what he highlighted in this video was how ISIS and the Islamic lot are slowly but surely taking over the whole of the town of Luton, which is a big town. And they are going around in their gangs, and this is just an isolated town in our country, but trust me, if it's happening in Luton, it's happening in all other towns in our country. Just because you don't happen to live amongst it doesn't mean it doesn't exist. And there are grooming gangs, there are, they're convert or die, we'll kill the non-believers, and the jihad's going on. And the one thing I did learn from Tommy, and I was quite shaken by it all, was how complicit the police are. You can't criticise a Muslim. Yeah, this come home to me when I woke up one morning to find that all the meat in my local supermarket had this sticker on saying Sharia law. With the fact is that it's not kosher. No, it's actually is being slaughtered in such a way as to keep the Muslims happy. And I think, well, why did this happen? Why suddenly do we have this all over the shops, that the meat we have has to be halal meat? Because I was going around thinking, what the well, is it halal? Is it a country? Or no, it's the way it's slaughtered. It was explained to me. I thought, overnight, this happened overnight when you and I were sleeping. This happened. The government didn't discuss it. The government didn't put it to a vote. The schools had separate, many of them suddenly started to have separate entrances for boys and girls. Junior schools, primary schools, all of a sudden. And all of a sudden there was complaints from the local Muslims saying that the children that go into this school, that they should be wearing the hijab, and the girls shouldn't be playing on the sports field. Sports days shouldn't be mixed, it should be segregated. And the whole thing is just a destruction, isn't it, of English way of life. And what we've done is we've let a minority dictate to a majority. And yet the law courts are okay with this, the police are okay with it, the politicians for the most part are okay with it. And I come out of that bath, I'll tell you, last night, I felt so down because I thought we've lost, If that is a litmus test of what is going to happen, well, you only have to look at Luton, and then you look at Rotherham. These, strangely enough, and I've said it before and I'm going to say it in this video again, this is an extremely well planned, executed plan to take over our country. It's not an immigration problem, folks, it's an invasion problem. Okay? Pakistani Muslims, for the most part, are the violent extremist ones. The immigrants pouring in, and there are grooming gangs. Yeah, they do exist, folks, they truly do. I knew this before watching Tommy Robinson. I'm not an idiot, I know. You only had to look at what's happening in Sweden to realise that. Even Sweden now, there's areas in Sweden where the police fear to tread. Can you believe this? Now, if it were my world, I would withdraw all our military troops, and the police, and I would get them all together, in battalions, and I would do a clean sweep. Absolutely. It would be 5 o'clock in the morning. They would be getting ready in their full armour riot gear. And they would just arrest every man jack of what of these lot. And they can stand there and shout and protest and all that. The first thing they would do in my world is that they would get a rifle butt in the face and kicked to the floor and beaten up. Put cable ties around their necks and wrists and put them in a van. And that'd be the last their family saw of them. And they'd get put on an aeroplane, or a big one, big transport aeroplanes, and they would be deported that day. And their family would follow. Because the only way we're going to get our country back, folks, is to send these people back to where they belong. If they really want Sharia law, they can go where it exists. So if they really want mosques everywhere, they can go where they run from, allegedly, but they didn't, did they? Many of them did. But now they want to bring their mosque with them and impose it on us. And I would be, I mean, not saying it was right, but Hitler did this, didn't he, on Kristallnacht, when they decided to smash up all the Jewish shops. Kristallnacht was basically glass night, when they smashed all the shopkeepers, the Jewish shopkeepers' businesses. And that's why they call it Crystal Night. It happened at night and it was full of crystals on the floor with a glass. It's Kristallnacht. And that was the big roundup of all the Jews. First they came for the Jews, and I wasn't a Jew and I said nothing. You know, then they came for the... Well, me, I wouldn't go for the Jews. Jews are no problem in Britain. The big problem in our country now is Islam. And it's sad, really, because not all Jews are good and not all Jews are bad. And it's the same with the Muslims. Okay? It is the ones that are on the street protesting, and you can pick a bad Muslim. I can tell you what a bad Muslim is. One that's got his wife in a burqa, a full Monty. Okay? The full Monty burqa would imply that they follow the Quran that has been edited by Saudi Arabia. This is the really extreme version of the Quran, because in the Quran it doesn't even mention the burqa. It doesn't. It's debatable whether it mentions the hijab, which is just the hat. But I see women now walking around where I live with a full burqa, and they've got the gloves. You know, you just see this letterbox, and I think that is serious mind control, isn't it? And I feel sorry for the woman, because she's been totally, well, that's the end of her life as far as I'm concerned, you know. And they're only worth 60% of a man. Do you know that? These women in burqas. 60% man. That's what they're worth. 60% of a man. They're not even... We shouldn't laugh, but I'll tell you something. One thing I did notice is that if you look at the hot spots of Muslim dominance now that's getting that way, people, clever people are being forced out of these places. But if you look, they come in, they start in Sussex, then they go right up the north of the spine of our country, folks. This is what the plan is. They'll go up the spine of our country. So we have Brighton, then we have, what's next up? The M25 circle, yeah, of course. And then northbound, yes, going up the M1, you come across, yes, you've guessed it, Luton and Northampton and Milton Keynes, 3 hotspots right up the centre. And they keep going north and north and north, and oh my goodness me, they're coming up to, yes, you've guessed it, the Midlands. And they'll go up to Birmingham, still going up the centre of the map. And then they'll hit Staffordshire, then they hit Manchester, and then they'll, you know, it's right up the spine of our country. None of these arseholes are in the east or the west, are they? They're all up the spine. Because once they establish dominance in the spine of our country, they will learn, some of them will turn their attention to the east, and some will turn their attention to the west, and then they will start to spring out that way. And when they're doing that, the incumbent population are wanting to move, run away, and we've only got towards the sea to run. And this is exactly what the Jews did to the Palestinians. They started off a little bit, and then they invaded a bit more, put the fence up, another little push, move the fence, another little push, move the fence, and they're pushing the Palestinians towards the sea. Where else can the Palestinians go now? They can't go up the Golan Heights because Israelis control that, although they have absolutely no right to. See, and this is a tactic of invasion. You go up the spine, you send half your troops to the east and half of them to the west. Once you've sussed the south to north or north to south, you go east to west. Well, look at the hotspots in our country of Islamic-dominated towns and cities. Birmingham. Oh, that's got to be a jewel in their crown. And it's happening. Not quite as bad as Luton, but it's getting there. This is the plan, and then it's, then it's up. Keep going up, up north, and you wait. I tell you, if I was all Scottish, not just half, I would have Hadrian's Wall built so high, I'd put Nicholas Sturgeon on the top of the line. Two-faced bitch, The deluded one in Scotland who wants Scottish independence. Well, instead of that, open the borders, let Scotland have them. But no, they won't, you see, because they had to stop. And they'll turn left and they'll turn right and we'll be pushed into the sea because there'll be nowhere else for us to run because we live on an island. And that's the danger. That's what our children and great-grandchildren have got to look forward to. But Tommy Robinson, mate, hats off to you for having the balls to do what you do. He's had tough times and people give him a hard time, and English Defence League and all that sort of stuff he was involved with. But he's grown up now and he realises that it's all a political game, because this invasion, and that's what it is, not immigration, it's an invasion, has been assisted and aided and abetted by the legal system, the political system, and the police. And it's been complicit. The police have backed up the Muslims. The social services are backing up the Muslims. The law courts back up the Muslims. And the politicians, these are the ones, back up the Muslims. And it's all, don't upset the Muslims. Don't upset the Muslims. Well, don't upset the Brits. Why should we have to kowtow for a minority? Well, there won't be a minority for very long, not at 6-to-1 breeding ratio against us. So maybe this video will get banned and I'll lose my channel for being anti this and anti that, but I'm just sort of saying how much I agree with Tommy Robinson. And I think that if I were him, he's a brave man wanting to stay and live in Luton. But like he said, why should he have to move? Well, there reaches a time and tide in affairs of man, doesn't there? When, Tommy, you'd better shift your ass. Because, you wouldn't put it past these people to kill him. And they will, if he stays put. But I'm not suggesting for 1 minute he turns tail and run. He's a brave guy, but for me, I would be gone. I wouldn't be one. For a start, I wouldn't want to live in Luton, but that's Tommy's hometown. I don't have a hometown. I'm a nomad. Okay, I don't have any what I would call a hometown. I don't come from anywhere. Me, I'm just a little Englander. I come from England. There we are. So it doesn't really matter to me where I live, but I certainly want to choose where I live. And if where I live I find is being invaded, it's very simple. I move. I'm like, the moment I see them, I find it repellent. And I see them protesting on the streets on a Saturday sometimes. and they're trying to recruit people into becoming a Muslim, and I think it's a disgrace. And where are our churches in defence of their positions? Where are our Christian churches? Where are the people protesting? Where are all the Christians protesting and fighting on with Christian soldiers? Where are our Christian soldiers? Where are the police protecting the local population from blatant racism from these pigs? Oh, all the yellow jackets, the police, the weekend police, community service. Well, you know who they're supporting and protecting, don't you? And what did it for me, in closing, was this. Tommy filmed the British soldiers returning from war in Afghanistan or wherever, the war heroes, walking on parade to say, "Welcome home, chaps," you know. And there was a chant going on, "British soldiers burn in hell, British soldiers," and the police were allowing this. The police let this big gang of Muslims, British soldiers, go to hell. I don't know how the British soldiers kept in formation, but wouldn't it be funny if the British soldiers got the guns out and just aimed them to see how quick they shut their mouths? If they really want to protect and fight for the Islam, go back to Afghanistan and fight for your country. Okay? But they're such cowards because they know they've got the support of our politicians and our police and the judicial system wrapped around their little finger in this country. Our judicial system in the UK stinks. And Tommy, top marks to you, my old son. Catch you tomorrow, folks. Must dash. I'm being nagged to go out. I'm certainly not going to Luton.